Okay, so here's the walk around part of the video. So this is the 2024 BYD Atto 3, and like I say, I had this for about 10 months now, and this is going to be a deep dive, full-on review of the car. So that's on its side. This is in skiing white, it's called. I think we have about 4 colours here at the moment in the UK. There's a red, there's a blue, there's a green, and next year in the refresh there's going to be a black version. So it's on 18-inch as standard, 18-inch alloy wheels, which are holding up pretty well. They're Continentals here in the UK. Contact 6s for EV efficiency, which is pretty good. So the doors have been holding up okay. There's the wing mirrors there. This is going to be a deep dive, guys. So we're going to do a proper review of this. Rear entry space is not bad. It's not quite 90 degrees, but not far off it. And the tethering point, the points for the baby seats, and that is here. So you just drop these down and then slot in there, and it's there's 2 on the rear, and there's one which we'll see in a minute in the passenger seat. And you've also got a USA and a USB. Sorry, a USA and a USC. No, B and C, isn't it? Yeah. Points down there, and you've got vents as well for ventilation at the back. There's no heated seats at the back, unfortunately, or cooled seats. A couple of cup holders in the centre, which is okay. And then this on the design model is a powered lift gate, so just pull it from there and up she rises. And then this is the storage, which is, I think, 440 litres. Now you can change the height of this, so you can either have it sitting on there, which gives you less depth, of course, but more storage underneath, or you can have it dropped. And funnily enough, I can still, if I can get this up, I can actually still get my cables in here. Oh dear, he says. There we go. So I've still got my Type 2 cable there. That's the vehicle to load, which we'll go over a bit later in the video, which is obviously a way of powering other things, other electrical items, by using the car battery, which is pretty good. And it comes with these mats as well. I think that's on all models as well. And in there is the plug-in 3-pin plug slow charger. In terms of the rear, we have it's a 60-40 split. You just pull that up to engage it. I won't put it right down now because I want to get in the back in a minute, but you pull that up and drop either sides. That gives you up to 1,400 litres, I believe, which is pretty good. So there's a driver's side view of it now. Got this nice crease line coming through here, which is quite nice. So they're actually quite nice looking cars. They actually get quite a lot of looks, but I think it's mainly because of the Build Your Dreams logo on the back, which I didn't show you actually. People wonder what on earth is that. And of course, moving forward, BYD have dropped the Build Your Dreams logo, so it's just going to have BYD in bigger letters on the back there. That's the rear look of it. Got these fake grille things here. One of the things to watch out on this car is these deep lips here. Depending on where you're getting out, these come right down under the trim of the car there, which is good, because it stops a lot of mess getting along here, of course. You do have to be a bit careful, and it also gets a lot of dirt and grime on here, so that needs to be cleaned fairly regularly. The famous guitar strings, which you could get a very small kind of cup holder in there. How these will hold up after a few years, time will tell. I have my doubts personally. But anyway, let's just quickly get in the rear so you can see. Now that's set up for my position in the front. I'm 6'3", and that's the kind of leg space I've got. Still reasonable leg space there. And in terms of height, if I just turn the camera, kind of height, I've still got, and it just keeps them a bit cleaner. You know, the actual mats underneath, which have almost look virtually new, because I don't think I've ever really taken these mats out. I just wash them down and hoover them out, and they work out perfectly fine. So to move down to here, you've got a charging pad here, which is virtually useless in the sense that it just overheats. Anything very typical of a lot of. They're starting to come out with some new cars now. I was watching a video yesterday of a car that's got some extra sort of ventilation around that. I think they're starting to get wiser to the fact that these just actually overheat, which they do. More than about 20 minutes on there, and it's not actually as quick. But as a side issue, well, not as an issue, as a reflection of that, the cable which you plug in, you get 65 watt charging speed. So I can go from sort of 10% to 70-80% on the phone in around about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So it's more than capable of doing it. So it's not really that much of a downside. It's just if you're going to put these in, you want to be able to use it, but it's virtually unusable. There's Jurgen Klopp. He's a must. He goes with me everywhere. And then on here, you've got your start-stop button there. So that's how you engage. In fact, let's just start her up. Probably going to have to turn down the volume. Yeah, we'll turn down the volume there so we don't get hit that way. And then on here, you've got an on-off for your aircon. You've got driving mode here. So on this car, it's Eco, Normal and Sport. That is for icy conditions. I've never used that so far yet. And that is for the regeneration speed of the vehicle. So you can have it on, I think it's standard and high or something like that. Neither of them are very, very good in terms of that. And when I come to some of my criticisms about the car, that will be one of the things that I will mention, because there are some. Right, okay, so on this display here, you have whether you're regenning, or so when you're regenning, it will come into the blue. When you're putting your foot down, it go closer up into the red, of course. That type of thing. So it's not very clear there. The past 50 miles thing is nonsense. It's really, it just doesn't help. It doesn't tell you anything. I mean, it's showing there 2.5.4, which is really, really high. But I do live in the Cotswolds, which is a very hilly area, so I don't ever see the sort of efficiency that I see some other people are getting. I've got 93% and 250 miles. I've been showing 270 on the full charge just lately in the sort of warm weathers. We've got a temperature of 15 degrees today, so it's not too bad. But temperature-wise, it's not been too bad, I have to say. And as I say, I've been getting about 270 on a full if I charge to 100%, basically. You're not really going to get 270 out of it, but to just quickly go over the efficiency of the car, it's a 60.5 kilowatt hour battery. It charges at a speed of 89 kilowatts is the fastest speed you can go on it. And as I say, you can charge this fairly regularly to 100%. That's no issue. Now, I've got individual videos of this car dealing with the infotainment system and various other videos that will be crossed over into this video. But I just wanted this to be one deep dive video, so it's going to be a long one, where you can see all aspects of the car and get a good feel for it. Well, let's go on to the storage. Storage wise, like I say, by the guitar strings, you've got two door bins there, which, well, can put rubbish like that in there. But it will fit a cup in there, or a smallish bottle. You won't get a big bottle in there. Which brings me on to one of the bugbears, which is, and I've done a video about this anyway, so you kind of know if you watch my channel regularly, is these cup holders. They're just too small, really. You can get an average size coffee cup in there. You're not going to get a big water bottle in there. And it comes with a divider, but only one, which is kind of almost a downfall as well, because these are actually quite small. If you put a coffee cup in here, you actually can't get a water bottle in there very easily. It just sort of goes in so far, and then it sort of wobbles about. You almost would be better to have two in there, especially if you say both want a cup of coffee or something, as example. So that's a bit of a miss, I think, really. They could do with a better design on here, maybe to make them a bit bigger with the slots that go around, which hold the cup in place, would probably be a better way of doing that. And then underneath here, you have a fairly deep pocket, actually, I have to say. Goes right the way down there. I've got some extra leads in there, £1 for the supermarket, pound coin, but you can put a lot of things in there. So it's very good on storage in that regard. And then you've got more storage under there. Where are we? More storage under there. And yeah, so storage wise, it's actually pretty good, I've got to say. So there's no issues on that. Now, if we move to the forks here, obviously you've got indication on this side. There, you've also got your fog lights and your main beam lights. I just leave it on that one there, which is the automatic, so the lights just come on as and when it gets dark, really. The annoying thing about it is if you go under even just the smallest of bridges, or through a tunnel or something, anything like that, you just go into a slight bit of darkness, they come on straight away. They're very sensitive, and then go off. So sometimes people look at you weird as if you're flashing them when you come out the other side, but they work really well. And there's a full beam on there as well, automatic, so it'll alternate between full beam and dipped headlights as you go. You got your fog lights there. So yeah, so that's that. On the end here, this is to change your trip meter. So it will change your trip meter there. So trip A, trip B, or odometer reading. And in the 10 months, as you can see, I don't do a huge amount of miles in this car. We've got, let me see it there. We've got 8,051, is it? 251. So that's all we've done. So not very much, really. Going back onto the steering wheel again here now then. So we've got the rotational screen. So just give that a press and it will rotate. It's in auto. It's in Android Auto at the moment, so I won't do it. That will rotate. Oh no, sorry, that one's the rotate one, isn't it? What am I talking about? And that one, not too sure what that one is actually. Down here you've got your cruise control. So you move your speed up and down via increments on your cruise control. And that's for your lane centering, and that's to resume or to, turn it on. That's to actually engage the adaptive cruise control or turn it off, that kind of thing. So that's that. And then you've got your distances for how far away you want from the car in front, kind of thing. So that's kind of how that works. This is for your phone. So if you want to make a call or something while driving or while pulled over, you just press that and it will go through your own, work off your phone, obviously. This is a voice control to speak to the car. And then you've got this toggle here, which has got different things on it. Where are we? So we go down there. That seems to be working there right now. This is the one, yeah. So you can have different things showing up here. So you've got your tire pressures, average speed, driving time. This is quite funny. You've got this here, which is like a speedo thing to do your 0 to 60 time, which is quite interesting. Never used it, and that's of course your average over 50, which I've gone over already, is just pointless, really. So that's it, and that's your mode to change things on here, really. So that's how that all works. Then on this side, we can get to it. You've now on this side you've got your wipers. Now this doesn't have automatic wipers, as in a screen sensor to automatically use the wipers. You have to do it the old school way of adjusting this in order to get your increments of wiper speed, if you like, or you can put it on to just all the time, or have it on the intermittent part of it. So that's how that works. And then for your screen wash, if you pull it towards you, it will screen wash, and if you hold it down, no, sorry, if you turn this fully, it would do the back, it would do the rear wiper. So that's how that works for that. Okay, now let's go on to the entertainment screen then. So like I say, on the channel I have a deep dive of this to a certain degree, but there's been some software updates that it's had, so there's been a few changes, so it wouldn't be a bad thing to go over it all. So this, when you start the car up, this will be the basic screen that you will get. So you've got your navigation over here, so you pull that up. Now I'm going to make some comments about the navigation system, and I want to go into a broader part about that a bit later in the video when I come to the points of where I think things can improve on this car. You know, as someone who's had this car for 10 months and been doing videos on it, I feel I'm pretty much able to talk a lot about this car now. And so there are things relating to this that really are just not good enough. It's actually, I wouldn't even use this to go somewhere outside of a place you know very well. I really wouldn't, because I did it. I went to Bournemouth and I thought, I'm not going to use the Android Auto. Because one of my downsides with Android Auto and CarPlay is if you go into dead zones, they just cut off. So your music cuts off, your maps cut off sometimes if it's a bad enough area, or they will at least not be updating. So I thought, well, you know, let's try out this. I should have done a video on it really, and it got me into a right old pickle, just taking me down just roads I've never been down before, going down to Bournemouth. It's just really strange. So, but anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go. So down at the bottom here, you've got your aircon, so the directions of it, whether it's on or off. So you can press onto this one, and that brings up your aircon. So that's how that happens. Let's come out of there again. That's to turn the screen off. So if you're driving along and you don't want at night or something, it doesn't turn like what you're using off. It just actually turns the screen off like that. And then to bring it back on, you just touch the screen. So that's simple enough. That's a pause button there for that. And then you've got this will give you what screens you've been using prior, so you can scroll along them like you would do on a phone. And then that's back to the main screen. Then when you want to go into stuff about the vehicle, you press the car. I should have showed you there. Press the car button down here, and that will bring up the whole system here then. But just to go back to the aircon system and all the rest of it, since the last update, you now have a way of turning up your speed of your fan, and also lowering and highering the temperature. So if you want to higher the temperature, you just move up or down. So that would take you, and you use 3 fingers. You use 3 fingers, and it would take it up and down. Yeah, so that's what that would do. And then when that's clicked off, using the same 3 fingers, if you go this way, it will move which is quite nice when you're on the move. So that's quite a nice update they did in the last refresh that I thought was really good. So that's a good thing. Yeah, so then you've got Spotify there. So if you've got a Spotify account, you can have that loaded up into the car. And then you've got DAB radio. Now my DAB radio only half works at the moment because half the channels went in the last update. I have heard from 1 or 2 subscribers to this channel that they're back on now with another update. So I'm still awaiting an update. Updates is another thing I want to go into, which I'll speak a bit about later, go into a bit more depth about it. But just to give a brief description, I've only had 2 updates in 10 months, which is poor, to say the least. When you think a Tesla has them every week, I'm not saying that this car has to have updates every week, but 1 a month maybe. So 12 a year, it's not too much to ask for. in 2024 with modern cars now that do over-the-air software updates. And updates are important because they keep this working efficiently, and obviously you can gain improvements within the vehicle. So it's something they should be doing, really. So here you've just got your basically connection details, really. So your cellular your hotspot, your Bluetooth is connected to my phone, and all of that stuff. So that's there. Audio, you can change different settings in here, like the loudness, the equalizer. You can set the sound how you want. The speakers actually are not too bad. I wouldn't say they're not class leading or the best in the world or anything, but they are actually not too bad. I don't have an issue with them or a problem with them. You've got voice volume and broadcast volume, so that's your volume for your radio and everything, and that's for your voice commands if you're following navigation or talking to BYD. These will come up. That will give you the volume that's coming on that. And then we go down to display, so you've got the screen brightness there, adaptive brightness, which actually is on, in fact, which will just obviously make it darker in the evening or whatever. I've got it on dark mode. You can have it on light mode as well, which will give it this brighter look. And actually, I might leave it on that for a while, see how that looks. And then the instrument cluster over here, that's for that brightness. So that's that one. Version, this is the software update I'm talking about. So I've got no updates pending. It says they're upgrade, but it doesn't do anything. It just says checking software, and then it just cuts off. There's not, if there was one waiting, it would give the version number and all that kind of stuff in there. So that's that. Then you've got your apps there, so all your different apps and everything that you've got actually on the vehicle are on there. So you've got a list of everything. And then on more, you've got your time format. So 24, I have it on 24 hours, but you can change it to 12 if you want. That kind of thing. And so here you've got your distance in, well, I've got it set to miles, of course, being in the UK, but you can have kilometers or, or that. Temperature, I have it on centigrade. We use centigrade mostly in the UK. If you're in America, as an example, you'd probably want it on Fahrenheit. And not that you can get this car in America at the moment. And then tire pressures, PSI, which is what we use. So, but you can set that however it's affected in your country, maybe. Languages there's a load of languages updated in the previous update, so covers a lot of languages now. So that's not too bad. Let's see if I can bring that in a bit closer for you guys. So yeah, so that's it. And it's just all sort of policy agreements and regulation of the radio and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's going on there. And then when we come down to this side, we've got the ADAS system, lane keep support, traffic sign recognition, and high beam assist, which is always on. These you can turn off, but every time you get in, you have to redo them again. And even when they're off, I've noticed it's still, when you're going around a bend, like even the lane centering, it still jerks. It still actually works, even though it's off. So it's it's a bit annoying, actually, that one. We missed out system there. Oh, no, that's that one. So energy, so regenerative braking. So let's talk a bit about the regenerative braking. Now, the regenerative braking, you can have standard and high. High is really low, and standard is as if you don't have anything. Now, I've been told by BYD before this that it was more given for those that were transitioning from that, but maybe looking at a vehicle like this, that would be transitioning from a normal petrol car into a car they're not used to having regenerative braking. Well, I don't have a problem with that, but just give me one pedal driving then. Give me paddles behind here, which I can adjust. So I can either have full regenerative braking, so one pedal driving, or adjust it through. A lot of Hyundai products have that kind of setup, so you can increase or decrease the amount of regen you have, right the way up to one pedal. I think every electric car should have one pedal, especially for around town, when you stop, start, stop, start, and when you're, just because it's easier on the legs and everything else. And when you've got cars that can have this sort of technology, just use that technology. It's there for everyone to use. So that was something which I don't really know what range mode dynamic and standard means. I don't actually really understand fully what that actually means, standard or dynamic. Whether it concentrates on giving, I don't know. I don't even want to guess. And then, of course, you've got your steering assist. I keep the steering on sport because it's a little bit heavier, so you've got a bit more feedback. And I keep my brake assist mode on comfortable. And there we are. And then you've got comfort parking for all the various things that you do on the parking side. Then, so let's just go up here. So we've got intelligent chassis with lights. Let's have a look at lights. So lights, you've got your ambient lighting here. So you've got your ambient lighting, which you can change obviously to show up at night, and you can either have it on a still pattern where it doesn't move, or you can have it on a setting where it all flashes and everything. So it actually sort of moves to the beat of the music almost, which is kind of a bit annoying actually after a while. This dynamic ambient lighting and rhythm ambient lighting. So I have them off personally, but you can have them on and it will just be reflecting different colors or stay on one color. It just keeps flashing kind of to the beat of the music. Headlights after exiting. So when you exit the car, how long the lights stay on for at night time when you enter in, and also headlights on before entry. Same thing, I just keep it on 10 seconds, but you can have it longer if you wish. You change the setting there. And intelligent greeting light. That's just where the interior light comes on, obviously when you unlock the car. So that's that one. Exterior. So I've got it on auto fold. So as soon as you lock the car, the side mirrors just fold in. So I'll just leave it on that. That's convenient. And then you've got AC. So auto fan speed, reduction during calls. So obviously it takes the sound. If you've got your aircon on very high and you're taking a call, it will obviously take the volume of that down. It will just lowers the fan speed. Internal circulation, of course, if you just want to have the internal circulating aircon on. Remote controlled AC running time. So this is when you've got it, when you're using the app, which we'll also do in this video. I'll show you the app, how that works. You can have it for how long you want to have it on before you enter the car. So if it's a really hot day, you can have it up to, I've actually got it on 30 minutes. So it never takes that long, but sometimes I find because the point is, if you say you have it on 10 minutes and you come out in 15 minutes and it's a hot day, it would have already got hot again in there because it's been off for 5 minutes, if you get what I mean. So I just leave it on 30 because I'm never going to take that long to process the cooling system. So I'm going to get into it actually cold, or in the winter hot, of course. And then auto, I just leave that on comfort. I don't know that the efficiency is much affected by the fan speed in this car. I've never really noticed it to have a great deal of effect on it, if I'm really honest. And then you've got your service thing. This is an important one, overhaul. So it's called where it says overhaul there. Now, overhaul, what that is the wiper check. So if you want to clean your car and you want to obviously get down in the recess at the front there, then you can press the overhaul button and it puts the wipers into an upright position, and you can now move those wipers to clean underneath them and also get down in the gully in the front there to clean out leaves or whatever's gone down in there, dirt and stuff, bugs, and clear all that out down there. And then when you've finished, you just turn it back off and it resets it back in so the arms of the wipers can't move. So that's an important one. And then you just got vehicle info there, which just as a vehicle status check. It always says okay, even if it wasn't, it would do that. So it just says check, and then it just says check complete, all okay. So that's just a basic quick rundown of the main page of there. But of course, we've got other things over here. So you've got BYD Assistant, which you would normally if you just say hi BYD, it comes on, and you can just speak to it, and you can do different things like change the temperature. You can lower the windows.
An internet connection is required for this function.
Okay. You can lower the windows, do various things in the car. That's one of the ways I used to get round before they had the three-finger thing for changing temperature and everything, because I didn't want to go middling around with all of this while driving. I used to just say to the car to, obviously change temperature. You can ask it to set it to 25 degrees, maybe fan speed 3, and it'll do that for you. So you can do it that way. Everything is more or less buried into that screen. But as I say, down here, as we went over very briefly, we've got the hazard warning lights. That's the parking warning light. Then you've obviously got your blind spot monitoring, and then you've got your this is for when you pull up, when you stop and pull up. When you put your foot on there, it gets you get a brake hold come up when you're in drive. To obviously hold you at a set of lights or anything, and then you press the accelerator and away you go again. So that's the brake hold. We went over that. You've got a park button here, but also a park button there. So I've never used this one. I just press that. It's the closest one, really. I don't think I've ever used that. So I don't know. Sort of a bit silly that, really. But yeah, volume for your audio or your navigation. Auto for your aircon. So when you get in, I find it's never that good. The auto actually just never sets to a very good temperature or anything. It just comes on, blasts, whatever happens. On and off for the aircon. That is for front defogging, demisting. So if you get in the morning and you have forgotten to precondition the car or anything, you just press that on, and that will just at least clear the front screen, and then give you time to go into the main screen and do all the other bits you need to do, I guess, really. So that's the main thing. And you've got this here for your drive, your neutral and your reverse. So it's pull down to drive and push up to reverse. Neutral doesn't really matter, because from your driving position, you're just going to press park and it goes into park anyway. I've ever used neutral, really. So visibility is really good in this car. Your wing mirrors are all adjustable by here, which we haven't gone over yet. So let's go over that now. So on here, you've got your in the door thing here. So you've got your left or right wing mirrors, and then you can adjust it. You're up, down, and any which way you want to go. And then there's a button up there to lock it into position. You've got your lock and unlock there, and you've got your window buttons here. So for your driver's side, passenger, you control it all from here, but they've also got their own ones. And then you've got a lock button here, which you can lock the rear. So if you've got young children, you can lock that to stop them from hiring or lowering the windows, of course. These are the funky door handles. Again, given the gym effect, this is supposed to look like weights in the gym kind of thing. So you just pull back on that. That works really, really well, and it's quite nice with obviously the effect there with the speaker in there. That's quite nice. It's interesting when someone's never been in this car and they get in and they go to get out and they say, "Oh," and they're sort of searching around, touching everywhere, working out how to get out. So they don't realise you just pull back on there to, of course, like I'll do it now, to open the door. Material wise, it's very good. I like the materials in here. It's all pretty soft touch. It's got a good feel for what is a fairly cheapish C segment car by today's standards. These seats are really holding up well. They are heated seats, not cooled, which is another strange thing, because you've got the perforations in there. I wouldn't think that's very, very difficult. It seemed to all come in this colour, but I do think from next year, wherever it's blue here, it's going to be black as another option. So that's one option they're looking at there. But the doors, the materials are pretty good. This is fairly soft touch. This is all soft touch down here. No issues there. When you start going very down here, it starts to get a bit scratchy, but that's normal with most cars, even high-end cars. But everything's well fixed together. Everything's well put together. There's nothing moving or jutting or anything. It's really stable. So there's no issues that way that I can see. You've also got ISOFIX in the front. So if you have a child that you want in the front with you, as I say, you've got two ISOFIX in the back. You've also got an ISOFIX point here in the front passenger if you've got a very young baby that you need to, you know, keep an eye on while driving, type of thing. So that's all good. So going over this car then, on the interior side, we should also mention the sunroof, which we got here. You can manually change those by these things here, by these buttons here, okay? Or you can just say to BYD to do it. Hi BYD, open blind.
The blind is open.
And it will just open the blind for you, or the sunroof, whatever you ask it to do. But that puts a lot of light in the cabin in the summer, or even in the winter, to just provide a bit more light, really. It goes right the way back, so that's a real good feature on this car, I think. So yeah, so, you know, interior wise, good quality materials. Shame it doesn't have cooled seats as well as heated seats. That would have been a nice thing. Cup holders could do with an improvement, an upgrade on those. The as I say, the phone charger is just overheats, really, so just use your USB points down underneath there, and that's about it. So I think I've gone over. Okay guys, so let's have a little summary over what we've been over so far. So we've looked at most of the interior. Let's go back to the entertainment screen, because we didn't go into everything on there, so we'll just go over a bit more of this. And like I say, this is a deep dive of the whole entire car. So we're going to be taking it out for a drive. We're going to be testing the level 2 autonomous driving, and we're just going to give it a general drive over low speeds, high speeds, and see what we make of everything there. So this is it. So this is really a 10-month. I mean, 10 months I've had this car, so you know, it's just kind of giving a review of everything here that we can. So as we said, so we've got phone there, radio, of course, which is just the bog basic radio. So which I've never used. Music is for stuff that you've got on your phone. So I've actually got the Bluetooth connected. So I've got Spotify there, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Media Center, which is what I do use, which is essentially on a USB. Just download loads of stuff on there, and you got it there. So that's really handy and really good. Now let's go to what I did want to show is the BYD store. I've had this now 10 months, and that's what I've got in 10 months. And I don't really use them. Anything really on there. I don't really use the browser very much. I don't have Amazon Music, and I don't really play karaoke. So they could put a lot more things in here, video apps and stuff like that you have subscriptions to, which would be much more. This, as soon as you put this into drive, it cuts off the screen anyway, so there's no way you're going to be able to watch a film while driving or something like that, you know, so that's not going to happen. So just put the apps on when you're at a charger. You can watch a mini series or something, or an episode of a series at least. So things like that. I just think those are the sorts of things now which we should be seeing in cars. And as I say, these are very slow to do updates. So far, I've had 2 updates, as I mentioned earlier in the video, and yeah, it's just kind of not good enough, really, in my opinion. I think we should be having probably 1 a month. It's not unrealistic, you know, for a big company like this. But anyway, that's another matter. That's where we're at with it. So we've been over all of those things. We've been over all the interior. So let's just go over a few things that I'm disappointed with, or things that could be improved, or things that it's a bit of a shame they never had, or, you know, that kind of a thing. One is a heated steering wheel. You got heated seats, but no heated steering wheel, which is kind of odd in the summer, in the winter as well, because you heat your seats up, and, you know, no cooled seats. These are perforated seats here. They warm up nicely. There's 2 levels of that. So let's go and show you that now, actually. So you go into heating, you've got your heated seats here, and then you just literally scroll over to give you your heated seats. So that's there. So what I did is I went into heating. You got air purification here, which don't really use, to be fair, that much. But there's heating. So, but there's no cooling of the seats, or at least airflow in the seats. So you've got nothing of that nature. So that's another oddity, I think. Yeah, I mean, that would be quite easy to do. Cup holders, I mentioned so many times, they're not good enough, in my opinion. They're the wrong design and they're a bit too small. So you can't get anything half decent. See, the thing with this car is kind of strange, really, because you've got things like vehicle to load, which is very interesting because you think to yourself, well, I can power stuff off of that. So I could go sort of like, say, camping for a night or something like that. I could, you know, stay in the car and do that, and I've got some power while I'm there. But then you would be put off doing a long trip in this car because it charges very slowly and it doesn't have well-beating range. This car doesn't. It's not. It's a kind of a bit of a jack of all, but doesn't really excel on anything apart from interior space and comfort. I think they're pretty good on that. These seats, I could do 3 hours sitting in here without even getting out. And I've got no issues with that at all. It's very comfortable, and no problems. And you've also got plenty of storage and plenty of space too. I'm 6'3". I can sit behind myself with my seat where it is now, set up for me as someone who's 6'3" in the front. I can sit behind myself in the back. So that's more than good enough. That's fantastic for space. There's plenty of cars way less than that. And this car does come packed with a lot of great features, with the sunroof, etc., or the glass roof. Well, no, sunroof, which extends right the way to the back of the cabin, which lets a lot of light into the car, which is really, really good. And so no issues on that either. But it's just, I don't know. For me, with China are coming here in amongst established automakers. And BYD is one of the biggest in China. There's just no two ways about it. They're huge. But at the same time, although they're huge, they're not, apart from the Blade battery, let's give them that. The Blade battery, what an invention. The whole sort of process of, just go on some videos and watch about the BYD Blade battery. It's quite an amazing thing. And of course, these are in buses. And so you could say they're a battery maker, really, and extending into cars. I can do that. But when you think of China being leading in tech and stuff, they have no desire to really do self-driving. We're going to take this car out soon, and you're going to see that the level 2 autonomous driving on this is pretty poor. Slight bend, and it's already complaining. Things like that. It's not. I don't actually use it. That's how poor I think it is in that effect. So I don't want to bash on this car to such a degree, like to say I hate it or something, but I just am expecting a little bit more from such a big company. If you go to their Shanghai setup, you have to go around it by monorail. It's huge. It's enormous. I mean, these guys are really serious. But are they serious in the areas that we need them to be serious in? We've got to start becoming serious when it comes to electric cars now. We've got to start becoming, dare I say it, the same old thing, a bit more like Tesla, in that we have good software, that we pack it full of great stuff for people, because the availability is there, and we have to spend a lot of time at chargers if we're going on road trips and stuff like that. So, I just think there could be a lot more information on here. It's very, very poor on information in terms of, like there's no miles per kilowatt, etc. It's all averages and what have you. I'd like to know more detail about that. And maybe there's a lot of people who don't really, But this car is a great car for a lot of people, probably around about 70% of the population. I think this is more than an adequate car because it's comfortable, it's efficient, which it is. It doesn't particularly charge fast, but if you've got a charger at home and you're doing miles to work and back, and you're doing your shopping and you're doing your sort of hour radius type of driving, this car's more than capable, more than fine. But I just feel they could push it a bit more. Why does it have 89 kilowatts as the top speed of charging? You know, when really I would classify as even not particularly serious about EV makers. I've got 150. I'm not going to name names, but there's plenty. Most cars now are coming out around about 130 to 150 kilowatts of charging speed, which takes it down under the half an hour, and that's what you need. You need to be able to do that. You don't need to be 50 minutes to an hour at a charger, which is what you're going to be with this one, especially in the cooler months. So that puts you off. That puts you off taking it on a longer trip, you know. And so that's the downside there. And but yes, it's got a good battery in the sense of the efficiency of it. I don't think it really seems to be affected, as I mentioned earlier in the video. I think that it really seems to be affected by either the aircon or heating or anything like that. It doesn't seem to have a big impact on the range for me, I'm noticing. So it is a very efficient battery in that respect. But as I say, that's their strength. But then we come down to the software, which is very, very basic. I mean, this is really a basic system. Let's be honest, you could have a lot more information on it, but it's just very more basic, really. And of course, then their mapping system. The mapping system doesn't navigate to chargers. It doesn't work with the car. It's just a navigation system that's very poor, by the way, as well. I used it to go to Bournemouth the other day, and I got into right pickle. I had to switch back over to Android Auto. I wanted to test it to see what it would do. It was just taking me down roads that I would never ever go down in my life, sort of thing. But it was just doing that. And it also, because it doesn't seem to be very intuitive, it also took me into some situations that I didn't want to be in, where obviously something like a Google system. So if you don't want to excel in this area, fit it with a Google system like Volvo were doing, you know, that kind of thing. Just do it that way. You know, but if you are interested, then set it up properly. Make the car work with make the navigation work with the car. So there's no reason why the battery management system can't marry up with the navigation system so that you can do a proper road trip from here to Scotland or whatever, do a 500-mile run and have all the full understanding of the car understands exactly where you need to pull over. It's taking you to chargers, or it's giving you a list of options that you could probably choose, etc. And away you go. And there's loads of cars that are doing that now. So if BYD want to really do well, they have to keep up with the competition, and they have to also, it's no good just coming in at a fairly cheap price point and packing a load of, I don't even include safety stuff, because safety stuff is on every car now. You can get a Fiat 500 that's loaded with safety stuff, because it's just the norm now that it's got to have all the sensors and the warning systems and everything else. So those are standard on cars anyway nowadays. Even if you get the bottom specs, they come packed with that. This one, BYD are pretty good at giving you a lot of extras like sunroofs and various things, but they still miss out on a lot of things as well. And there's still things they haven't thought about, like cup holders, like heated steering wheel, like, you know, ventilated seats, a bit more connectivity in the back maybe, etc, etc, etc. You know, there's a few things that why is there no front? It's got a massive gap in the front there. It should have a front front at the front. No reason why it couldn't. It's got a massive gap in there. When I do the front, I'm going to show you the gap it could have in there, that you could actually put a fairly decent front trunk in. You get all your cables in there and maybe an overnight bag. It's another place of storage, you know. So it's just thinking in an EV way rather than a petrol diesel way, if you like, really. Just utilizing every bit of space. And I have already said how impressed I am with the interior space of the car. I don't have an issue with that. I've gone over that before. It's just doing those little things. So anyway, that's my gripes. That's my annoying things. Like I say, the great things about this car is it is still well, you know, things like the things like the sunroof. I mean, we just come through summer. It's been nice to have that, and you know, just general things about the car that I really really like. Oh, we must talk about the air conditioning as well. Now, the air conditioning is something to speak about here, because this whole system here seems to, if you're fast charging or if you're going through slow traffic, it seems to regulate um, temperature by taking heat from the cabin and putting it into the battery in the winter, and vice versa. It overheats and seems to heat up here in the cabin to cool the batteries down. So it seems to use that method as a way of cooling. That's what I seem to think, because I thought it had a fault with the car. They took it in, nothing wrong with it. So I explained everything about it, and they just put it down to you know, keeping things on auto and all this sort of thing, which doesn't make any difference. I don't think they really know what they're saying on that, but yeah. So it's not a particularly good system in that regard. If it's very hot, you're going to get hot. If it's very cold, you're going to get cold as well, because it will take heat from the cabin and put it in there. So it put it into the battery. It seems to take it out from the car and into the battery pack. That's why, if you noticed, if you've had this car for any length of time, you'll start noticing it fogs up a lot, where it's scavenging heat out. And so yeah, that seems to be a weird system they have on that. But these are all things, a lot of these things they can do with over-the-air software updates. If it's got over-the-air software updates, there's a lot of things they can change. So we hope that as time goes on, these are the things that they will do to improve this car. If you're going to bother to have over-the-air software updates, then do them, use them. Don't just give you 2 a year and then, oh, when we come in and service it, we'll update the car and etc etc etc, put you on the latest one or whatever. That's what's been happening for years and years over the time with electric cars. But now we're at a point where these things should be on top of them from a software perspective. So yeah, but no, the car is still a good car. I think for what I use it for, which is basically the run around stuff. Don't go on many trips. Pick up my son from uni. Go and see my mum. You saw the Gatwick Airport video I just recently did. It was when I went down to see my mum, and I've done the video of the electric forecourt there. So I mean, from here to there, it's about 150 miles, so a 300-mile round trip. That's the kind of maximum I'm doing. I'm not doing up to Scotland's and backs and stuff like that. And I guess that's the use case for most people. But like I say, so in that everyday stuff, this car will hold itself up more than anything. It's a good, comfortable ride. It's nice and soft, you know, for rolling around town in. And you can get reasonable feedback through the steering if you put it on the sport function, which I showed you earlier in there. Put it on the sport mode, not sport mode as in sport mode on the car, but the sport mode, the sport section in the chassis thing. And you can do that, and that of course increases it quite a bit. But yeah, it's a good car for doing the basics. But if you want to do more than the basics, that's where this car starts to fall down a little bit for me. If you want to start road tripping, if you want to start getting around, you can't navigate yourself to charges, so you've got to still keep on with all the apps, the Zap Mats and Zap Maps and stuff like that, which you probably shouldn't have to do now. We should be moving away from that. They should be all integrated. Why doesn't it have 22 kilowatt charging? A lot of cars are doing that now. This has 11. The thing about 22 kilowatt charging, if you can, not everywhere has that type of charges yet, but they're going to come out, and that's a fairly fast charge. If you're an hour or an hour and a half, 2 hours shopping, when you come back, you put a fair bit of juice in on 22. So it's just about doing it that way, and it's just about, it's just about innovation, really, and just just trying to move forward to make things easier for people that are adapting into, and giving us all the facilities. Just give us everything. Like I mentioned before about the regenerative braking, which is done from this button here. You've got a standard or high. High is quite a low regenerative braking in a lot of electric cars, would be a low mode. So what you need to have in a car like this is not to turn around and say, well, this is basically, we're thinking about people who are coming from normal combustion cars into electric cars and they don't know anything about regenerative braking. You just provide a one pedal driving. You just provide the different functions through flappy paddles at the back here or buttons down here, whatever, however which way you want to do it, where you can change the degree of it. Because for those who are coming into this car that want the regenerative braking, and they do a lot of round town stuff where regenerative braking can be really handy and stop-start traffic and stuff like that, then why not give them the one pedal experience, you know? So little things like that. Now you could argue, oh, perhaps all these are cost-cutting elements because they're cheaper cars than some other cars on the market, but I don't necessarily buy into that too much, because I don't know that these cars in China are that cheap, because they're all competitive. So, but anyway, so I've gone on enough about all of this stuff. I just wanted to go over it though, because for people that are interested in this car, I want them to sum up everything for their own personal situation. That's the most thing I'm interested in with this channel, is giving people information that could be helpful for them to make the right choices. But I wouldn't want someone to come out there and say, oh, Evie Bloke said it's a great road tripper, you can take it up to Scotland and back, and you know, it's because you can still do all that. Of course you can. I'm not saying you can't, but you're just going to be longer at charges. You're just going to be, if you've got kids in the back, you know, you want to get in, charge, and head and carry on your journey. You know what I mean? And this wouldn't be really an ideal car for that, in my opinion. But like I say, if 98% of what you're driving is driving to work and back, dropping kids off to school, you know, going about your day, traveling around in a sort of hour radius, you know, when you go to other towns and whatever, this is more than capable of doing all of those stuff. And you can come home and plug it in if you've got a home charger, and away you go. So it's not an issue. But it's just when you have to start venturing out a bit, and it's got the comfort to travel a bit. It's got the size interior to take a family. You got vehicle to load if you went camping. It's got all those facilities, but then it doesn't have, just a bit let down on, as I say, the charging speed is one of my big gripes I have with this car. There's not very many cars out there that have got 89 kilowatts as their fastest charge, as their top speed for charging. It just isn't. Not nowadays, you know. We've moved on from the Honda E's and the Leafs and the, you know, we're into a different world now of technology, and there's very, very few cars coming out with under 150. So do a software update, give us that sort of speed. These batteries are meant to be better better than any other battery, longer cycle of life. So give us more power. Simple as that. I don't see any issue with that. Anyway, we're going to do we're next going to look at the front of the vehicle, and then we're going to take it out for a drive, and we're going to take it out of a drive over slow town driving and also motorway driving, and compare how the car sound, what the sound value is like, compare how it cruises with the adaptive cruise control, and see what it's like at low speeds as well. So we're even going to use the stop go, which you can just about do on this car. We'll put that into practice as well and see how that holds up. So that's where we're going to go. So let's go round to the front now, and we'll take it from there. Now, if you look down here on the driver's side, you've got this here, which is the thing. Now, this is for the front trunk. So what you do is you put it twice, and that releases it then. That's what we do. So I heard the clunk, so that's good. Yeah, as I say, it's holding up pretty well. A bit dirty. We'll give it a wash probably later. Not the cleanest. There's the wheels. These are I showed you the wheels a bit earlier, but that's the alloy wheels that it comes with. which are okay. But as I say, these Contact 6s, Eco Contact 6, holding up quite well. So here's the front of the car. Okay, let me put the lights on. So you can have a good look at the lights. Well, that's daytime running lights, really, opposed to headlights. It's supposed to have like a dragon face. It kind of does, really. Got the BYD signature there. You've got this grille here, which I think is active. I think there's a bit of cooling goes on in there. And you've got, similar to the back, you've got these fake grills here, which did okay. Right, so let's go under the hood. Now, under the hood, get the right point. I don't know if I'm going to have to put you down. I thought it was about here. Oh, it's actually released. Okay. Right, so here is what's underneath. So as you can see, you've got this chasmic gap here, which you could easily fit a nice front trunk, and you can get aftermarket ones if you want to have a front trunk. I'm not that big on the front trunk thing because yeah, I'm not so big on that, on the front trunk thing, if I'm honest. Because for the simple fact they don't really give you a lot of storage as such, most of them anyway, nowadays. They don't really give you loads of storage. So I'm not that really big about that, but I haven't got anything in that. It's brake fluid here. Oh yeah. Plenty of brake fluid in there. Doesn't it's so opaque you can't even see that it's in there, but it's there. That's fine. So that's the brake fluid. There's that there. Washer bottle, of course, is here. And that's about all the things you touch on here, really. 12 volt there. Motor down there, of course. It's making a nice hissing noise, I know that. Got some leaves in here as well. It's the air conditioning, probably. So there we are, guys. That is the exterior view of the BYD Atto3. So yeah, there we go. We'll just have a look at the light. There's the lights on at the back. So yeah, so you've got the light. So you've got the light bar at the back, which you can see there. It's probably flickering on your screen. Goes right along. That's pretty good. In skiing white. Okay, guys, that's it for this part of the video. Right, okay, guys, it's the EV bloke here with the driving part of this review, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to go and test. Now, unfortunately, I don't have anyone with me that can film me whilst doing it, so I'll probably put some B-roll on, some over the top of this to actually show how I'm doing the you know, what's going on in terms of the controls and everything like that. So but what we'll do now, it's been absolutely horrendous weather today, but luckily there's a sunny-ish part of the day. So but we've been having it looking sunny, and then it just a load of showers come down. So but yeah, so in terms of general feel and drive for this car at low speed, you've got a bit of resistance, you've got a bit of noise from the tyre, but not intrusively so. But I will say it's not the quietest car for an EV you'll ever come across. But nevertheless, it's not too bad. Yeah, so we're going to head on down onto the dual carriageway. Which I won't engage you for this first part, but on the second part it's a bit of a longer section. And so on that other section is where we'll apply the cruise control, adaptive cruise control, which is on most cars nowadays, of course, but some are better than others. I mean, some don't deal particularly well with bends, and I think this possibly, really, in my experience so far, is maybe one of those. But yeah, so when you get up to speed, you've got pretty good, not a lot of noise outside the vehicle, really. That's not an issue. But what you do have is just that tyre roar, really, I would say. But in terms of the feel of the car, it's very smooth, takes bumps very well, at low or fairly high speed. Yeah, I mean, it just feels well balanced. Like I've been saying all the way through having this car, that I don't have really very many issues at all with the feel of the car or any of that kind of stuff, I mean, this is a family car. You don't want it to have dampened down suspension and, hunkered down onto the road type of thing, and quite a firm suspension, because you're going to be doing donuts around corners or anything, I mean, it is what it is. It's a family SUV, and for that purpose, the smooth, comfortable ride that this gives you is actually more than okay, I would say. So absolutely no issues that way. We could go on to the M5. I don't think I'm going to bother with the M5 though. It's been so many problems with it at the moment. I don't want to go on there and then get some issue and I can't get back, and I have to get back by a reasonable certain time. So I think what we're about to do now is good enough to test out the cruise control. It's still a 70 mile an hour road, if you like, dual carriageway. So yeah, so we're going to go down there now. So yeah, so what we'll do is we'll get up to speed, we'll engage it. I'll probably insert some B-roll so that you can see where all the controls are and how I'm doing it. But I don't have anyone with me today to be able to sort of film me doing all the business on here. So, which is one thing. So let's get a bit of speed up now. And power this right the way down. So let's engage the adaptive cruise control. Right, so the adaptive cruise control is on now. No issues there. And it's set for 65. So 70 miles an hour along here. So 65 is good enough. So it's, you see, it's actually, it's not staying central, it's leaning towards the left, and you've got to sort of try and correct it a little bit. And yeah, well, that's kind of what you got there. There we go. So I've got the maximum distance between myself and the car in front, so that works out fine. There's no lane change on this car, so you can't change lanes on this vehicle. It doesn't change lanes. You have to do that manually. And then once you're over, you just take your hands off the steering wheel and it's fine again. It's more than fine. So no issues that way. So, but for doing this kind of dead straight roads, I mean, pretty much any adaptive cruise control is pretty good at is actually pretty good at holding the lane, so sort of no issues that way really. But there we go, it gives you a feel for it. But it does wobble around a little bit in the in the lane. I think it doesn't center very well, so on a motorway doing 70, it's going to be fine really, is what I would say about that. It's more than adequate, so no issues. I have tested this before. I'm not going to do it today because I think it's quite dangerous really, but I have tested this car for an emergency situation, say you're unconscious, so taking everything off, hands off everything, and seeing what it does. This just disconnects the adaptive cruise control. So that's all it basically does. So it doesn't have any system on it like you see on quite a number of cars nowadays actually, to support you if anything major was to happen or something like that. You know, let's say you fainted or had a heart attack or something like that, and you couldn't get your hand up to press the SOS button. There's actually no real safety system that way where it will pull you over, slow you down with hazards on, and bring you to a stop, which a lot of cars do nowadays. Don't think this one doesn't appear to do that when I tested it last time, so it doesn't seem to have that facility. So yeah, we're just going through here now at 30 miles an hour, so 30 mile an hour zone, and yeah, I mean, it's like I say, it's more than okay. There's no issues with it at all whatsoever. It holds the road lovely, and in actual fact, let's get the adaptive cruise control on again, because we do have stop and go on this car. So what we could do is just sort of see how it copes in that regard. So let's get the full extension on that. Yeah. Right, so let's see how it does. Right, so it's already not particularly doing well on cornering. Let's see how it corners here. We need to bring it in. We have to bring it in. Yeah. Lane centering is the issue with this. It actually does a pretty decent job of keeping you at the speeds, of course, but it doesn't really seem to do a particularly great job at keeping you centered in the lane. That's what I would say about this car. And of course, what you do is, when you come to a junction, if there's no car in front of you for it to recognize that car, then what it will do is it will, what you have to do then is just brake as normal, and then it will, if it's about 2 to 3 seconds or less, once you take your foot off the, once you take your foot and just tap it, it will pull away. Otherwise, if you've been there for a little while, you need to give it a little bit of a nudge, and then it will pick up the speed again. It'll actually pick it up again, so that's not too bad. Actually, lane centering around that corner pretty well, so that's not bad, I've got to say. And there again, so it does it when it wants to, but is when it wants to enough? I guess is the order of the day. Let's see how long without hands on it goes before it makes a noise. It could be interesting. See, it just dipped speed there on that very, very slight bend. Didn't know what to do. But it's holding the speed well. But you know what? It's all right. You know, this car is all right, and that is the most important thing, really. It's just okay. It's not meant to be a self-driving car. Adaptive cruise is what it is to help you out with tiredness, really, and fatigue. Right, so about 10 seconds, and then it complains for you to put it on. So let's see if it's going to slow down here or not. I'm going to have to brake because it's not really picking that up, which is a bit, yeah, not good. Didn't pick up that car in front, really, which you should be doing. So yeah. Goes up in 5-speed increments right now. So let's see what's going to happen here. Yes, it's doing it now. It's picking up on it now. So that's good. So it's picking up on that quite well. That's good. Let's put my foot on the brake. So if you just stab the accelerator, it pulls off. So it's keeping me from a reasonably good safe distance from the car in front, so that's good. So at a push you can do city with this. Not too bad, I guess. So there we are, guys. That's that. So that's a slow speed, a little bit of stop and go with the adaptive cruise control, plus a drive, and a little bit of low speed driving. So, you know, overall 7 out of 10, I guess, for an all round sort of perspective. Not bad.